The confirmation hearings of Amy Coney Barrett continue as we find out more about her short tenure as a judge. And from what we've seen, it's not good. The Associated Press recently published a report on Ms. Barrett's most notable judicial opinions, which included what I want to talk about, 2019 discrimination case. So now she penned the majority opinion against a transportation worker that was allegedly suing after he was let go. In that opinion, she said that the use of the N-word in the workplace does not create a hostile or abusive work environment. So your superior uses the N-word at you as a black person, and for some reason she believes that does not create a hostile work environment. Oh, great. In the ruling, Ms. Barrett said that while she found the use of the word abhorrent, and this, of course, is on behalf of a unanimous three-judge panel that issued this ruling, she said the plaintiff in the case had not made a strong enough case that there was actual harassment. The N-word, she says, is an egregious racial epithet. That said, the plaintiff can't win simply by proving that the word was uttered. He must also demonstrate that a supervisor of the word altered the conditions of his employment and created a hostile or abusive working environment. I got news for you. If you're constantly or if you're calling your subordinate who happens to be black the N-word, then that's kind of a bad environment to be in. It doesn't exactly foster an environment of mutual respect and friendship. I'm just saying. And racism, again, people with racist attitudes definitely foster a hostile work environment. A racist person, by definition, holds negative feelings towards people of a certain demographic and would theoretically treat that person differently than he would treat someone who does not have a different skin color than they do. So Barrett and the other judges in the panel, however, did not agree with that. So now what's interesting about this case is that aside from being about race, it was actually a workplace discrimination lawsuit filed by Terry Smith. Terry Smith is a black Illinois transportation employee who sued after he was fired. So now they go into talking about how, no, it was he was actually fired because of his record. But this guy says, I was fired, and then I was called the N-word. And so, I think that this is about racism. I think I was fired because I was black. So now Smith's claims include that he was called a racial slur by his supervisor, Lloyd Colbert. So now, when you look at this, I don't think it's just only race that's involved in here. I think she ruled on behalf of corporations because that's who she serves. It makes sense because she's a conservative justice, and they tend to believe that racism is no big deal. Of course, they do that in addition to supporting corporations. And so I think it's a little bit of a mixture, not just specifically racism, but also corporations are always right. And so what's really interesting about that position is the fact of who disagreed with that position at the time. Here you had now Supreme Court, and this was back before he was on the Supreme Court, Justice Kavanaugh disagreeing with her ruling. Here's what he said. No other word in the English language so powerfully or instantly calls to mind our country's long and brutal struggle to overcome racism. A single sufficiently severe incident may create a hostile work environment. So Brett Kavanaugh was actually correct on this when he said, hey, no, use the N-word at work. That is a hostile work environment. Regardless of what happens, that is hostile. And so he's absolutely correct on that issue. And look, many users on social media, by the way, did point out how Barrett had two adopted black children. And they asked correctly if she would feel the same if the word was used against them when they entered the working world. So would it be a hostile work environment if your kids, black children, were called the N-word? Or would she just say, oh, suck it up. You need more proof that it creates a hostile work environment. Well, I don't know. I mean, I would hope so. But then, as we've seen many times, conservatives operate by a simple principle, right? It's okay until it happens to them. Now, once it happens to them, that's when they get outraged. That's when the fire comes out. But to me, again, this seems like very pro-corporate and ignoring racism. And it's pro-racism, saying, hey, you can go ahead and call black people the N-word, because turns out it really doesn't create a hostile work environment on its own. And really, that kind of shows you where she's at on these issues. When it comes to matters of importance, racism is going to get the back burner, and protecting corporations and that is always going to be in the forefront of her judicial opinions, which is exactly what, of course, conservatives are looking for when it comes to a Supreme Court justice who will be deciding on lots of cases involving corporate power. So I think this is just a little bit of a preview how she's going to look on both labor issues, labor disputes, as well as cases of discrimination in the workplace. And it's not going to be good. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.